The galaxy had grown quiet after the War of the Nine Sectors, but silence rarely meant peace. It was the kind of stillness that came before a storm, an unseen gathering of shadows behind the stars. The Galactic Council, the ruling body of over 300 civilizations, had assured every world that stability had returned. Their broadcasts spoke of unity, order, and prosperity. Yet beneath that polished language, deceit brewed. For humanity, newcomers to the grand assembly of galactic powers, the Council's promises tasted hollow. They had seen enough of politics on Earth to recognize lies dressed in ceremonial robes. When humanity was first granted a seat among the stars, they entered with optimism. They believed in diplomacy and treaties and shared peace. They offered technology, aid, and open trade routes. But the Council had other plans. The deception began quietly. Trade routes leading to Earth's colonies were suddenly reclassified as restricted zones. Human convoys were intercepted under the pretext of inspection. Supplies meant for frontier outposts vanished. The media networks controlled by the Council painted humanity as reckless, expansionist, and dangerous. Yet every accusation was built on false evidence. At first, humanity protested through official channels. Their ambassadors spoke calmly in the Council's grand chamber, a circular hall of light and sound where 1,000 alien delegates watched from tiered platforms. The human representative, Ambassador Hayes, stood before them, his voice calm but resolute. "Humanity seeks peace," he declared, "but peace cannot exist where lies dictate law." The Council smiled. The Chancellor, a towering being of crystalline form, responded with soft, resonant tones. "Peace requires order. Order requires trust. Humanity's actions, your hidden fleets, your silent armories, have shaken that trust." Hayes stood silent, though his eyes burned. He knew the accusation was false. The so-called hidden fleets were humanitarian defense convoys, their mission logs clear, their purpose transparent. Yet the evidence displayed on the Council's screens was damning. Fabricated holovids showed human warships firing upon neutral worlds. False transmissions bore forged human voices demanding surrender. It was an elaborate deception, and the galaxy believed it. The Council voted. Humanity was sanctioned. Trade embargoes struck Earth and its colonies. Human vessels were forbidden from entering Council space. Aid was cut off. The youngest species in the stars found itself isolated overnight. But humanity did not collapse. They adapted. They always did. While Council fleets blockaded the outer systems, humanity turned inward, rebuilding, preparing, waiting. On Mars, shipyards burned bright as construction lines ran 26 hours a day. On Luna, strategists and engineers worked under sealed domes. Across Earth's orbital stations, new technologies emerged quietly. Energy shielding, pulse accelerators, gravity weapons, systems that few outside human research could comprehend. The Council mistook silence for defeat. It was their greatest error. Months turned into years. Skirmishes erupted on the borders as rogue fleets began to attack human convoys. Yet every captured ship bore markings too clean, too staged. Crests of extinct species, languages distorted to mimic pirate codes. The Council blamed humanity again. That was when the Terran Command decided to act. The message came from General Marcus Hale, commander of the Sol Defense Network. Calm, calculated, and endlessly patient, he had waited for proof before striking. It arrived through the most unlikely source, a defector. An alien diplomat from the Council's intelligence division arrived in the Outer Rim, terrified and dying. He revealed everything. The Council had orchestrated the deception. They feared humanity's rise, their speed of adaptation, their creativity, their refusal to obey ancient hierarchies. The Council had forged a plan to provoke humanity into aggression, to justify a full extermination war before humans became too powerful to stop. The defector's confession was transmitted live to every human world. The recording of the Council's secret meeting was undeniable. The galaxy watched as the Chancellor's cold voice echoed through the archive. Humanity must be isolated, weakened, and then eliminated before they evolve beyond control. The truth burned brighter than any weapon. Across 1,000 star systems, silence fell. Then came the first counter-transmission, this time from Earth. The feed showed the human flag against a black sky. The voice that spoke was steady, human, and filled with quiet fury. "This is General Hale of the Terran Command. To the Galactic Council, your deception has been revealed. You have mistaken our restraint for weakness. You have mistaken our silence for submission. Consider this your final warning. Flee. Many dismissed the message as human bravado. The council laughed in private sessions, confident in their fleets. After all, humanity possessed only a fraction of the council's military strength. The galaxy's armadas had stood unchallenged for centuries. They believed numbers and tradition would prevail. They were wrong. 3 days after Hale's broadcast, the stars around the council's outer defense sector went dark. Communication arrays went offline. Patrol fleets vanished without distress signals. What emerged from the void was unlike any vessel seen before. The humans called them the Aegis Fleet. Ships forged of dark composite metal that absorbed energy rather than reflected it. They moved in silence, their propulsion signatures unreadable. Each ship carried the emblem of Earth, blue, white, and black with the outline of a single star in the center. The first engagement was over in minutes. The Council's border fleet, 60 warships strong, was annihilated. The human ships never transmitted a word, never demanded surrender, never even fired traditional weapons. Instead, they used something new. Graviton destabilizers that turned enemy projectiles into dust, and focused pulse rings that bent light into cutting arcs. The battlefield turned into a silent storm of collapsing metal and fractured energy. Across the galaxy, panic spread. Council systems scrambled to prepare. Yet even as fleets mobilized, human transmissions began arriving in every major capital. Each message was identical. A single sentence: you have 72 hours to leave the occupied sectors. Flee or face what you created. Some worlds ignored the warning, others mocked it. But those who fled, those who listened, lived. On the 73rd hour, the human fleet struck again. Not with planetary bombardment or scorched earth tactics, but with precision so surgical it seemed impossible. Weapon platforms disarmed, power grids shut down, targeting systems jammed, all achieved in seconds through invisible electronic warfare. Entire fleets found themselves blind. Then the human ships appeared, their presence announced only by the flicker of their engines. They surrounded their enemies and then waited. They never fired the final shot unless provoked. The Council realized the truth far too late. Humanity had not built a war machine. They had built deterrence incarnate. They didn't seek conquest. They sought warning. At the center of the chaos, the Chancellor called an emergency session. The chamber that once echoed with arrogance now trembled with fear. Holograms of shattered fleets and burning stations surrounded the delegates. Ambassador Hayes appeared again on the central dais. Not in person, but through transmission. His voice was calm, yet carried the weight of a storm. You lied to us. You hunted us. You feared us. But understand this, humanity does not wish to rule you. We only wish to be left in peace. This is your last chance. Flee from the systems you occupy, or we will remove you. The Chancellor tried to respond, but his words faltered as reports flooded in. Another fleet had vanished. Stations in the Orion Spur had gone silent. No explosions, no debris, just absence. The human fleet had learned something the Council could not imagine: how to weaponize control. They didn't destroy worlds, they turned off civilizations. In the days that followed, entire sectors evacuated. Refugees fled into deep space, whispering of ships that appeared like shadows and vanished just as fast. Council propaganda networks collapsed. For the first time in millennia, their power fractured. Then came the final broadcast from Earth. It was simple. No threats, no demands, just a message that would echo for centuries. Let this be known to every world. Humanity does not seek vengeance, only truth. But those who deceive, those who enslave through lies, will face the consequences of their own making. We are not conquerors. We are the reckoning you invited. The transmission ended, and with it, the Galactic Council fell into silence. Worlds that had once ruled with arrogance now feared to even mention Earth. Trade networks reformed cautiously under new terms: equal trade, not dictated power. Some called it the Age of Balance. Others called it the Era of Fear. Ambassador Hayes returned to Earth months later. The once bustling cities were calmer now, illuminated by the pale glow of orbital lights. Children played in open parks again. The shadow of war had passed, though its lesson would never fade. He met General Hale by the edge of the Pacific Defense Line. The sky shimmered with auroras from orbital energy shields. beautiful remnants of the storm they had weathered. Do you think they'll come back? Hayes asked quietly. Hale watched the horizon for a long time before answering. Not soon. Fear is a good teacher, but truth lasts longer. They'll remember this warning long after we're gone. Hayes nodded. And what of us? We rebuild, Hale said. We always rebuild. In the years that followed, humanity did not expand through conquest. Instead, they explored deeper into uncharted space. They offered aid to T,